Hi, my name is Kumar. Today I intend to discuss this Linux topic on file permissions. Specifically, I'm doing this test as a proof of concept on Ubuntu version 14.04. But I reckon this would apply to any other Linux distribution because we are talking about a concept here, not so much about specific Ubuntu related commands, but rather quite generic to the Linux arena. Before we go any further, I think it's important we get some admin issues resolved. Okay, here in the background you can see that I have a very simple index page showing that Apache is the server is running. So I already have installed Apache and PHP using the LAMP installation. But let's get some admin issues out of the way first. Okay, these are some of the caveats. Because here we're talking about file write operations. It can be fairly risky if we do not do it properly. In my instance, I'm actually trying this out on a virtual machine. So it's a local machine running on the VMbox, Oracle VMbox. So even if things don't turn out as planned, I got very little to worry because this is not a production server. I think I'll just pause a few more seconds for you guys to take a look at the caveats, because there's if you want to do any tests, you're on your own. I can't take any responsibility for the outcome. Okay, I think that's enough. Let's move on. Okay, if you look at this, the next slide here, I've actually stated some preparations and assumptions. Before we go into the steps, the reason why I intended to produce this video is to clarify issues on file permissions, specifically when someone wants to write a file in Linux to a particular directory. A lot of people face a lot of difficulties. I can take cognizance when I go through the various websites and help forums, including Ubuntu web forums and other Linux distributions. This problem keeps popping up. Even in WordPress, this problem keeps popping up. In file permission, how come the server stopped me from writing a file to a particular directory? And there are so many ways of resolving this. Of course, the easiest way out of this so-called problem is actually to issue a 777 file permission mode. 777, that means anyone, including the user group or anyone else who have access to the files, can read, can write, and execute the file. This is a lazy man way of solving problem. From a security point of view, needless to say, this is a major security problem. I believe this is not a satisfactory way of solving the problem. So we must find a more permanent solution. And I think what is even more critical is to try and understand how this whole system works, so that we no need to do a hit and miss kind of strategy. You will have a surefire method of solving this problem. That is the whole objective of this video, is to explain to you exactly what are the mechanics involved in file permission, so that you'll have a very good grounding of this very important topic. Okay, now we move on to the preparation and assumptions. Basically, I'm doing this test in a virtual environment. So there's almost zero risk I'm taking. If I screw it up, it's okay. I can just erase everything and restart everything. The operating system that is running on this virtual box is Ubuntu 14.04. There are various steps that we need to take to sort of sanitize and prepare the ground for this test. So what I've done is, because of this recent shell shock, the bash shell shock that appeared in September 2014, I realized that this is important. We need to do upgrade of the Ubuntu box or any other Linux distribution to make sure that the bash application is updated, and hopefully this security flaw is fixed after this update. You may have to run a few tests to make sure that the security update is working properly and the flaw has been patched up. That's a separate topic altogether, so let's not go into that, but it's important that you do this update of the security for this bash update to prevent the shell shock from hurting the system or your data or whatever. Okay, then we go on to step 1. In my case, I want to have a very clean environment so that there's no confusion. So of course this is up to you. Step 1, I'm actually on my own initiative, I'm setting root ownership for all the subdirectories within the web document root directory. And then moving on, I'm setting a 755 permission within the subdirectories within the root directory. For files, the permission is 644. I'm quite sure you guys will be fairly familiar what is 755, 644, and so on. And then in the second last step, step 4, I'm actually deleting any existing test files. If I have any sort of previous attempts files, and in the last step, of course, you must make sure that Apache is running, which I have already shown you all. The Apache is running in the background, and my PHP script is actually working. That's the reason why the page is able to render. Okay, in this instance, MySQL is not required for this test, even though LAMP MySQL is part of the LAMP installation, but I won't be using any part of the MySQL. It's simply PHP text editor. You need a text editor, PHP, and Apache server to run. For text editor, I got a paid license paid Sublime, so I'm using that as a text editor. Okay, now let's proceed further. I've shown in the previous slide, I've shown you guys the steps that we need to do. These are the commands that we need to run. Of course, you have to take it that whatever I've shown you about, changing directory and all that, the specific commands all related to my setup, my environment. Your directory structure may be different, so of course use your own discretion, but this is just a proof of concept more than anything else. Okay, let me go into the terminal. My bash all has been updated, so I'm going to go into the home directory of where I kept my documents. First of all, let me do a change directory. Sorry, this is a lazy man way of cutting and pasting. Okay, so I'm going into my home directory, www subdirectory where I place further in I place my document root. So if I do a tree command, you will, this is basically my structure. This is the home/snr is basically my home directory. www is a subdirectory. Below the www, I got a directory called my web directory. Further down, there's another subdirectory called HTML. HTML, I got 3 PHP files. The focus is for you guys, you just need to focus on this. It's called demo.php. It's a fairly simple PHP file. I've also created another file called writefile-version18 of PHP. This is quite an elaborate file. It's about 300 over lines of code. I'll still play this PHP application. I will apply it on the browser and show you all what this guy will do. But you guys just need to focus on this. Index.php is the very first page that you guys saw earlier on to show that Apache is working. So my target directory that I wish to write the file is actually in dir1. It's basically in directory 1. So this is the place that I want to save a particular file. So of course the lazy man way of doing is just do a 777 and anybody and everybody can throw anything they want into that file. You can write, delete, whatever you want to do. But of course that's a security breach and it's a major security flaw. So let's not go into that. Let's see if there's a better approach of solving this problem. So you realize that in dir1 I've already deleted all the text files. Of course, before this video I've run a few tests to make sure that the outcome is predictable. And now I've deleted all that file, so that in the dir1 there's no text files there. Okay, so sorry about that. I just got okay. Let me clear some of the other screens out of the way. Okay, the next thing we need to do is show you guys what are the PHP file doing. But before that, let me go back to the PowerPoint. So this removing of the text files is not required because I've already done that. So now I'll run these few commands. I'll just copy all this and then go into my text and I'll just paste it. Of course, the guy is asking for my password. So okay, never mind. What I'll do is I'll go back. I've already keyed in my password for sudo. I'll go back here again. Since now I keyed in, it should be okay now. Go back here and let me paste again. Okay, so what have I done? I've already done all these commands, and let's go back to okay, basically effectively I've run through. I've changed my directory to my www subdirectory. I've done a tree command to show you guys the file structure. Previously, I've already removed all the text files, and I've shown to you all during the tree structure that the indir1 subdirectory is empty. There's no more text files there. Then I've already changed the -r means it will do a recursive root.root. Basically, the user is root and the group is root ownership for all the directories and subdirectories inclusive of www subdirectory. Anything below that, including www, everything will be affected. Likewise, for the directories, for all directories, the type D means directory. I've given a 755. Basically, this is read, write, execute. This is 5 stands for just read and execute. And for anybody else is also read and execute. And for the files, because F stands for all the files, recursive again, 644. 6 stands for read and write, 4 stands for read only. Again, this 4 for the users, the general users not within the group, is also read only. So all this have been run. So basically, we have a clean slate now. The environment is sanitized. Everything has been given clean state. The state has been properly done up. I'll just show you guys the Sublime, in Sublime, the PHP code, what it attempts to do. Okay, this is my, if you look here, this point here, I'm placing my cursor. This target directory, of course, you guys have to change to your own directory. Then my demo file is demo underscore write file.txt. Your file may be different. You could retain this. It's all up to you guys. Then the full file name is basically appending the target directory to the file name. Take note, very important, that your target directory must end with a / so that when you concatenate or when you actually append these two together, everything will be a properly formed file name. To start off, to give some gap at the start, I'm giving two breaks, HTML break commands, so that will give a bit of space, so it won't be flush to the top. Will give a bit of space. Just keep things simple here. First off, the most important thing you have to check is the process user. The process user is basically the current process user. Is basically, you just need to simply run a command, who am I. If you're in the command shell, you just have to type the word who am I and you'll get it. But here we are using PHP script, so you have to use exec to execute it. Then here we are talking about this line, the target directory user is important. The capital U with the %sign actually will extract the user from the existing target directory string. And then you just echo this out so that you get the output you can see. And then finally you do a write operation, and you'll get two lessons. Either one of the lessons will be two outcomes rather. Either will be successful or the writing has failed. And if the writing has failed, what is the lesson note that we can discern from it? If it succeeded again, what are the lesson note that we can discern from it? So That's how it works. But before I actually run the test, going to the Googling, I spent a fair bit of amount of time trying to get to the bottom of it. And I realized that there's a lot of confusion on the ground regards to how to resolve this issue. Some people propose the 777. Of course, that is not satisfactory. The file permission of 777 is not satisfactory. Some other people actually talk about actually tackling the code itself, the PHP code itself. That means take a look at the script file, meddle with the the user or the group, and try to force your way through to get the file operation done, the file write operation done. Again, that will not work. Some other guys propose that maybe we should look at the directory where the script is placed and tweak it. Again, it's not a surefire way of solving this problem. So I found out the only way to solve this problem, this is fairly simple, but apparently there's a lot of confusion on the ground, is actually to make sure that the current process user, when you guys run the whoami command, that user must match exactly with the user of the target directory where we are going to write the file. So in other words, you see this echo here, target directory user. This user, this line here, the output of this line must match with the output of this line, the process user. If these two match, then you can effectively write in that particular target directory any files you guys want. If you don't match, then you have to change the ownership to do the match before you can actually press on. If not, it won't work. Okay, with that said, let me actually run the script, the demo write.php script on my website. Of course, this is a local machine. I've created a virtual host, so let me just go in and put demo write.php. Okay, I've run it. You'll realize that it's a few lines of code, but a fair bit of useful information is provided. The current process user is an Apache user because PHP is running on the LAMP stack. Apache is running using PHP, SQL, and all that. So anyway, here we are using the process user is the Apache server user. Of course, different machines got different names. Ubuntu, they're using www-data. Red Hat and Debian and other distributions may use different names. I think Red Hat probably use Apache, or CentOS use Apache. But here we use Ubuntu, we use www-data, that's a process user. This is the target directory that you are attempting to write a file to that target directory. You look at it, the user is the root, the group is also the root. So if you just extract the user of this particular directory, of course it's the root, because you see this root is reproduced here. So there's a clear mismatch because the process user is www-data, while the target directory user, the specific target directory that you want to write the file into, is root. So naturally your file write operation would fail. This is what is highlighted in this lesson note here. File operation fail only as target directory user, which is root, did not match with the process user triple W. So simple as that. So effectively, if you understand the mechanics, then you will know how to solve it. Now, of course, I'm assuming that you have sudo or some su permission or sudo permission. Of course, we don't have all this. You can't even run a server. Here I'm running, I got a VPS, but of course, in the virtual setup, you are the king. You got total control of everything. This is a proof of concept anyway. And so once you understand this, all you have to do is to go here, go back to your terminal. Okay, this looks fairly cluttered, so just clear the clutter a bit. All you have to do is change the ownership of root to triple W data. So again, sorry, this is quite a long string, so I'll just copy it. So change ownership to, so from this root here, I need to change to triple W data, right? So it's basically triple W data, and this is focusing on this subdirectory. It doesn't matter whether you put the slash or not, here it doesn't matter, but okay, I think you can leave it on, doesn't matter. Okay, of course this won't allow because I unfortunately I didn't sudo, right? So if I prepend sudo, then it's done. So if I do ls al okay, you look at this, the first dot here basically that is the directory for indir1, the subdirectory. So initially was root, now I've made it as triple W data root. So this triple W user will match exactly with the process user. The process user is the guy who is in charge of things, so you must make sure it matches, if not he can't write. Okay, so simple as that. Okay, now we have done that. So if I do a refresh now, you must take note initially the operation failed. So now if I do a refresh, okay, it's successful. Again, what is the lesson note? From the same simple humble PHP file. File operation was successful only as target user, triple W data, directory user, target directory user, match with the process owner. So it went through. So simple as that. I've also created a more elaborate PHP file, which is about 300 lines of code, which I explained to you all much earlier in the video. It's the same thing, but it gives more details. But of course, this is too long to explain. But the concept is the same. There's also a fair bit of confusion about the script user and the script group, the PHP script. This has no impact whatsoever on the file permission. So all you guys have to focus on is the directory that we want to write this file. Who is the user? That user must tally exactly with the existing current process user. The existing current process user is basically, you can get it with the who am I. In this case, it's triple W data. So since the both matches, it's successful. Okay. what happened if I go back and I search and I change back this to root again? Okay, so it's done. So there must be a mismatch and the thing must fail. Okay, here it shows that the test cannot proceed. You see, existing file could not be deleted. It cannot be deleted because you got no more permission. You cannot write, you cannot delete. So in order to have a sanitized environment, I block this test once the file cannot be deleted. The text files cannot be deleted. So the way out of this is to sudo and remove all the text files, which I'm going to do now. Okay, sudo rm. Hopefully this deletes it. Yeah, it's deleted. It went through, no error message. Okay, so all the text files have been deleted from the subdirectory in there 1. So now I refresh. Okay, the test went through, but the target file write failed simply because the process user is www data, whereas the target directory user, where we want to write the file, is root. Again, there's a mismatch. That's the reason why the thing failed. So we go back and change this subdirectory to the Apache's user, the process user, www data, press enter. You come back here, refresh again, voila, you got it, right? Target file write was successful. Okay, so I think this should be a very good proof of concept to prove to you guys what I meant earlier on, that the target directory where you want to write the file, that user must match with the current process user. In this case, is the current process user. You just have to run the whoami command, all in small caps. You'll have the www data and the process user. If these two match, then of course everything will be beautiful. We can write the file. Okay, I think with this I will end this video. Thank you very much. Keep watching. Bye.